A very good afternoon to all of you who joined today on the 6th of August here in Liepāja at airBaltic Pilot Academy Open Day. Today we have very nice weather outside, and also this open day is also open day for the parents who came here to Liepāja to see our aircraft, also to be able to fly as a passengers together with instructors and students. And all the parents who want to join us today, they are already in the field and flying our beautiful Diamond 40 fleet. My name is Vilmantas, and I am CEO of airBaltic Training and also one of senior vice presidents at airBaltic responsible for the flight operations. Myself also flying Diamonds and Airbus 220s, and I will be now presenting you and telling what is about airBaltic, what is Pilot Academy about, and how to become pilot at airBaltic, going through the Pilot Academy. We have two parts of the presentation. One part will be about airBaltic and Pilot Academy, and the second part I will be answering all your questions which you can put on the slido.com, and we will interactively answer those questions. Let's start with who we are and who is behind of airBaltic Training Pilot Academy. So airBaltic is the company in Baltic States, one of the largest in the region, and we fly purely new Airbus 220 fleet, and we are more than 1,000 employees, and we have about 200 pilots for the current fleet of 27 Airbus 220 aircraft. And with the fleet is young, company is also young, very dynamic. So if you join Pilot Academy, finish the Pilot Academy, then after 4 to 5 years you can become a captain on Airbus 220 fleet directly. Previously we had the Q400s, Boeing 737s, but now we purely have Airbus 220, and this is direct pass from the Pilot Academy student finishing integrated ATPL into the right seat of Airbus 220. And we are a multinational company. Almost all nations of the European Union are present at our company, and currently we are 28 nations. Also about the number of people flying the Airbus 220, we have almost 200 pilots at the moment. Half mostly are captains and half are first officer. Here you see the destination 2025 clean. Why it's clean? Because we got rid of Boeing 737s and Q400s. Just last year, the last Boeing left the company, and we still possess our Q400s, but we don't fly them, and we are returning this year and next year all Q400 fleet, which will be not operational during upcoming months until they still are on our books. We concentrate on Airbus 220, and we've been launch operator of Airbus 220-300 series, which is a larger Airbus 220, and there are two options in 100 and 300. So 100 is a smaller version of Airbus 220, and 300 is a bigger one. airBaltic is operating purely Airbus 220-300 family. As I mentioned, we've been launch operator. We started to fly those planes 4.5 years ago, and I have also joined to be one of the team who've been introducing those Airbus 220s in the company. As you can see from the slide, last year we had a fleet of 25. This year that fleet is increasing by 7. Currently we have 28. Few more aircraft to come this summer and winter. And at the end of the year we will have 32, with next year orders plus 8, and after next year 23 plus 10. So we will have a fleet of 50 aircraft, which is firm orders from the company. And what does it mean? We need pilots, because with current 200 pilots we definitely will not be able to operate. That Airbus 220 flies short haul and long haul, is very efficient, 30% less fuel burn and 50% less NOx. So we are a very green company, and that is why we've been choosing those modern Airbus 220s. So the Airbus 220, a little bit about the generations of the aircraft. You can see in the movies the first generation aircraft, which I had the chance to fly. Also, when we had a lot of round dials and a lot of manual work, switches and valves you need to control, and usually in those airplanes we had 3 crew members. So years later, the development of the industry moved ahead, and we produced in the industry such an aircraft that 737, 200 and 717s early generations, which has already a little bit more integration, already a little of flight management systems, but still far away what you can see today. And the third generation, which is usually 737 NGs or classics, or early Airbus 320s in the mid-size jets, they have already bigger screens, and they have already flight management system. They have already system protecting from different kind of collisions, different kind of ground proximities and wind shears. So those are the third generations. And with the Airbus 220 and Airbus 350 and 787 Dreamliner, the fourth generation aircraft been introduced several years ago, and Airbus 220 is one of the leading technology aircraft, which has a very wide screens and integrated avionics, a lot of integrated stuff which helps pilot to fly efficiently. And if you can see now in the cockpit, it's like a really 21st century cockpit, and side sticks, only 5 big screens which are interchangeable. And this aircraft is really a pleasure to fly, and really very efficient and very safe for the passenger transport on short, middle and even longer flights. We can reach Dubai from here, and we can reach Tenerife, and we can reach Reykjavik in Iceland. So the range of the aircraft is huge, and also the passenger comfort and silence of the aircraft and economy of the aircraft is perfect. We also have in Riga, where is our main training location for theoretical training and part of practical training. We have a beautiful Airbus 220 simulator, which is also quite new. We just introduced last year, and we train our pilots locally in Riga without any need to travel. And this helps a lot during pandemic, because if we would not have that simulator in Riga, we would have real problems to keep pilots current and to keep them up to the skills which we can do with our own simulator. Also in that training center is Diamond 40 and Diamond 42 simulator, which is the same modern as this aircraft, which is stand behind me. And we train also theoretical in a very nice, fully dedicated for the training facility, which is more than 4,500 square meters. Why to join airBaltic, and what is Pilot Academy behind? So if you take a rule of thumb that each aircraft requires about 10 pilots, 5 first officers, 5 captains, so you can quickly calculate that for 20 aircraft you need 200 pilots. So despite that we have 26, 27 aircraft at the moment, due to pandemic we have reached this summer 70% of previous load. That's why we are flying efficiently 21 aircraft, and 200 pilots are sufficient to take the load. But the next year we'll have a fleet of 32 at the end of the year, and then mid of the summer 37. So the need for the pilot for the next year, because we believe that pandemic will be 90% complete, so it's 335. So the gap between existing pilot need and what we need in the future is about 130. There is no secret that we have laid off some pilots from our previous workforce, and of course we will take those pilots together with academy cadets who had been completed or going to complete the studies in the proportion of 2/3 from the list and 1/3 from the academy. And that is why you see on the right side of the graph that we haven't released any students in 2020 because of pandemic. We were forced to stop flying at all for a decent 4 or 5 months because of restrictions. And when we regain now, about 24 pilots will complete the study this year. And of course they will not join the airline immediately this year, but most probably half of them will be joining in the spring, and half of them will be joining during summer and autumn. And by 2022, we'll clean that backlog from the pilots who've been put on the list of continuous employment. So we haven't left the pilots who left the company unattended, so they are still on the list. And also we have a list for a pilot academy. So during the next year and during 2022-23, we'll have no backlog at all, because if you look at the left side, in 2023, for 40 plus aircraft, we need to have about 450 pilots. So that means even the numbers what we have now will be not sufficient with cleaning up all the backlog and also taking from the academy all the students in. And if you think that you are joining now in 2021, so we will be finishing 2023, and definitely you will be direct entry into the airline, because all the backlogs will be cleaned up. We are slightly different from the other academies, because we do training in the pilot standard, airline pilot standard, from the day one. You will receive the iPad, you will see all electronic media to start. Our instructors are professionals from the airline. We only have airline-related pilots who are giving you the lessons. And also our instructors are mostly from the airline, and also have very experienced instructors who've been working in the industry for years and years. So from the day one, all the checklist, all the procedures, all your behavior is at the airline standard. Also, we have monitoring program when we are scoring in evidence-based training standards, and you are moving into the pilot academy to be ready to join the airline at the very high standards. As I mentioned, this is the program which is called Integrated Airline Transport Pilot License Program. Integrated means that you start and you finish with one goal without any interruptions. And that taking 18 to 22 months, depending on the weather, and also pandemic been influencing a bit, so we have extended the program for a few pilots a bit longer. So we use only new aircraft. The aircraft behind me, which is Alpha Papa Golf, has been delivered last year, and we have only maximum 3 years old airplanes. This year we have also one delivery. And we operate the purely new aircraft and very modern. And also simulator is the same manufacturer from the Diamond, Austria, and is directly from the manufacturer with the high standards of the simulator. And as I mentioned already, you will receive best practical knowledge and theoretical knowledge from the instructors who are airline pilots. So they will bring you in the knowledge what you need to know and what you need to stress and what you need to concentrate on to become a perfect airline pilot. And at the end, we don't guarantee, but we support and we accept you for the airline at airBaltic. And all the pilots who have been in the airline, or all the cadets who finishing our pilot academy, they are listed and they are in the waiting list to join the airline. But of course, if you don't want to join the airline, you are free to go somewhere else, and there is no restrictions. So that pilot standard integrated ATPL, the layout of the program you can see, and that is in the green, which is theoretical part. Theoretical part is your self-training, is the training with your instructor, and it's a training with your manuals and interactive computer-based system which are uploaded into your iPads. Those theoretical trainings are in the parts. If you start in September, for example, you will spend about 6 months of theoretical training, and you will complete almost all theoretical knowledge. And then you only be in the practical training, substituted from time to time with the simulator. If you join later in November or February or even April next year, so your theoretical training will be shorter, but you to be able to fly in the spring, or to be able to fly a little bit when the weather is better. And then it will be substituted with theoretical, practical, theoretical, practical. But anyway, it's 18 to 22 months. And you will be flying a single engine piston Diamond 40 new generation, which has a Garmin 1000 NXi2 version inside, which is full protection of whatever the airliner has inside. And you will spend about 60 hours in flight navigation procedure training device, which is simulator located in Riga. And also you will fly with multi-engine piston Diamond 42, which is very nice, the aircraft for multi-engine flying. At the end, we have training for upset prevention recovery, which is mandatory for integrated ATPL. And we have aerobatic flight together with instructors who are dedicated to train you in upside down and different G-forces to understand what does it mean to have a G-force and in the situation which you would most probably never meet in the airline. And at the end is airline pilot standard MCC, which will be completed at Airbus 220 in Riga in our simulator, which is really, really nice. And that is already pre-transition into the Airbus 220 type rating. So totally 18 to 22 months, more than 1,100 hours in together. So why we have chosen Diamond 40 and Diamond 42 fleet? As I mentioned at the very beginning, Airbus 220 is fourth generation airliner with a very modern cockpit and very modern inside electronics and all fly-by-wire systems. So Diamond 40 and Diamond 42 is the similar concept. This aircraft is made from the composite materials, and also that aircraft is with a full Garmin 1000 NXI synthetic vision inside, which you can see three-dimensional in front of you. Also, it has all traffic collision avoidance systems, ground systems, and a lot of FMS-related issues. So, all what you are going to fly inside, not with the control wheel, but with the yoke, is similar to Airbus 220 flying, and the similar concept. So that is why we have chosen the most modern at that time Diamond family of the aircraft. Also, as Airbus 220 is very efficient, economically and environmentally friendly, so those Diamonds are also not burning too much fuel because it's using Jet A1 fuel instead of petroleum, and the burning rate is much less, and also pollution rate is much less. And also one of the silence general aviation training aircraft in the world. So both have been driving us towards a modern fleet, and if you are training on such an aircraft, then it will be easy to transition to the fourth generation airliner. So that is one of the view over the Alps when we had the delivery of our Diamond 42s. So we've been flying over Alps, and the other Diamond was filming us from the side, so that is very nice picture. So what about the fleet? So here we have a hangar which is made for the maintenance of the Diamonds, very nice and modern. Nearby is another hangar for the overnight stay, and we have totally now 9 aircraft, and next year we will receive the aircraft number 10, and that will be sufficient to produce about 50 pilots per year, and that is enough for the airline at the moment, and we don't have any future big expansion plans. We are producing the pilots only for our airline, and that is our main goal, to make a quality, to make very high standard training for the airline. How to become a pilot? So at airBaltic, going through the pilot academy. So we have a dedicated web page, which is pilotacademy.com. We just made that pilotacademy.com as our home page, and you can open and you can see all the process what you need to do. First of all, you need to apply. So you need to write an answering 2 questions: why you want to be a pilot, and what are the qualities for the pilot, and why you want to become a pilot. So depending how you write it and what is your motivation, our professional team is reading all those applications, and also depending if you are your validity, if you are 18 years old by the joining, if you have finished secondary school, and if you have a European Union permission to live or work. So all those are sorted, and if your application is valid, so then you are called for the group tasks, which is English, mathematical, and physical testing. It's not something sophisticated because you've completed already secondary school and you have a diploma or you have certificate that you completed initial studies. That is enough, but we are just checking by sampling your abilities to cope with technical questions and cope with mathematical and physical exercises. And everything is in English, and during those testings you will demonstrate your English level. There is no requirement to have a TOEFL 4 or something else, but if you have it, it's all welcome, but there is no special requirement. Then it goes into general mental abilities, which you can fill online, and then we see at your ability to see the bigger picture and be able to split that picture into pieces and then put them together. So, and then health capacity check, which is your medical class 1. And at the end, if you are going through, so then you go into individual psychological assessment, which is a one-to-one talk with our professional psychologist for a few hours, and they are asking and giving you a task which you need to complete. And during that, they prepare the report, which is at the end presented to the board, which is deciding either you are going to or not going to into final interview. And at the final interview, we have 15 minutes for each cadet candidate to answer or ask the questions for our chief pilots who are board of the final interview and also head of the training at airBaltic Academy. And when you're finishing all, and if you're selected, so Airline and Pilot Academy issues the letter that you are accepted, and that letter usually is good enough to start your financial support program, which you can approach the banks or approach another financial institutions to get financing for the program. Usually from 100 candidates, we had about 8 to 15, and the worst case 8, in the best case up to 20 people from 100 applications. What is the pilot career at airBaltic? So when you finish Pilot Academy and you will complete a type rating at airBaltic, you start flying at level 1 first officer, which is for 12 months, and your salary level is shown on the screen. After 12 months, you automatically jump into the level 2, which is significantly higher, and then another 12 months passes, so you are going to first officer level 3. And if you stay at first officer level 3, so that is the top of the salary. Of course, it's depending on how many hours per month you fly, but this is standard salary levels, and if you fly more than 80 hours, that will be additional also money. So when you complete 3 years, usually you have about 2,500 hours, because the pilot regularly flies per year 850 hours. So you will have 2,500 hours, which is the lowest minimum to become a captain at the airline. But usually we have the captains from 2,500 to 3,000 hours. So you might be staying at the first officer for 1 year, and then you can go into the captain upgrade. And with the captain salary, you have a different levels of the salary, which is lasting for 2 years at the captain level 1, then another 2 years at the captain level 2, and finally the captain level 3 is another 2 years and further down. So if you stay at the captain level 3, that is the roof salary which you can have in our airline. Back again, depending on your additional duties. Then you can choose the way, and even our co-pilots who are actually instructors, they have additional duties as academy instructors or the airline instructors, or the captains who are progressing very well in terms of putting the lessons in front of the students. They can go into instructor level, and that instructor level is even higher than captain level 3 because it's additional money. Or you can go into management or in the technical. So we have technical pilots, we have also chief pilot office, which you can become a managerial pilot. So this is the investment what you do in the pilot career. It's paid back, and usually that is paying back within the 3 to 5 years for our cadets. That was the monetary part, but there is also additional part which is not directly related with your salary, and that is one of the benefit which our young pilots and cabin crew likes very much. So this is unlimited travel on so-called ID travel allowances. So we have an agreement with the airlines, and if you are airline pilot or cabin crew or employee, you can travel at a very discounted rate with other airlines. And by becoming employee of airBaltic, you have unlimited leisure travel tickets after period of time when you start employment. Also, if you're living outside Latvia, so you have home leave tickets which are free, and you have 2 days off or 3 days off. You can travel to Spain, you can travel to Netherlands, or whatever destination we are flying to. We have paid vacation of 20 days, which is a standard, and all training, validation of your licenses and medical are for free. It's no any fees that we would charge you, so the airline is paying all what is necessary. The biggest, one of the big also value is your loss of license insurance. What does it mean? Because as a pilot I have a medical license, and if I lose my health status for some reason, not being able to get a class 1 medical, so within the 12 months I haven't got that medical, so I lost my validity of pilot license. So then the insurance will pay up to 100,000 euros compensation, which is very good to focus yourself on the other issues. Also, health insurance and accident insurance is standard within the airline. Pilot Academy guys have priority to work at airBaltic and receive all those benefits within the shortest period of time. And final question, which is usually very important, is how much it costs. So it costs 79,000 euros, which is middle price between 120 or a lower price of 65,000 for modular training. So we are somewhere in the middle, because being very cheap, you cannot provide the quality. Being very expensive, we are not living in somewhere in Germany and Netherlands, so this is a little bit cheaper here in Latvia, but the quality is high. That is why the price is middle. So, and you shouldn't be paying immediately all that money. There are some installments which I showed you, will show you on the slide, which is going after this. So, but the initial idea is that you pay 9,000 euros yourself as you sign the contract, because that money is just to start your training, theoretical, and for initial part of flying until you receive solo flight. Because all that testing, what we do, all your wishes that you want to be a pilot, sometimes it's not enough, and you start flying, and then you look and say, that is not for me. And you shouldn't be burning all your money. You just burn your part of the money, and that is how we agreed with all the students. Okay, you start a little bit, you pay a little bit, and then if you continue, then you pay next. So here it's more detailed. So as I mentioned, first payment before start of the studies. Second payment, usually it's after 4 or 7 months when you complete theoretical and you complete your first solo. You need to pay another installment of 30,000 euros, which is for instrument flights for the night and your building of your hours. And then after 7 to 13 months, you start flying EFR night, and that requires another tranche of money, so it's another 20,000. And finally, at the end of the program, to complete multi-engine piston, MCC and UPRT, there is another 20,000 euros. So it's in the 4 installments, one at the beginning, then in the first part, then the second part, and final part. So it's not immediately that you need to cash 79,000, and if something goes wrong in the middle of the program, you will be returned the money which you haven't been used. So at the end, it's always question, the type rating is included or not. The type rating is not included, the same as your allowance for living or food. So, and at the end of the program, when you selected for the airline is sponsoring 28,100, which is standard type rating for the Airbus 220, which you don't need to pay, but you bond yourself with the airline for 5 years, and that is the standard term, and that money stays deducted from your salary and small proportions of every month, and then after 5 years you have already captain most probably, and no obligations to pay neither to the bank nor to the airline, and then you really enjoy being fully free from all obligations and have financial freedom. Question: why to start today? The airline is in the downturn, is still not recovering as in a full, as I mentioned, in our airline and also the other airlines in the world. Recovery is about 70% during the summer from the COVID 2019 levels. We expected that it will be faster, but it's not as fast as we would like to, and we are waiting for the full recovery by 2022 summer in the 90%, and 2023 will be 110% from 2019 levels. So I've been in aviation for quite a long time, and I've seen almost all those 4 from 5 critical economical cycles, and I will explain you a little bit what was happening. So in 1980s it was the revolution in Tehran, Iran, and the fuel prices went very high, and that is when the economy went down. But you see the recovery in the 1980s was very fast, and instead of having 2% growth of GDP, it went up to 5%, and it stays until the 90s. Iraq war and Kuwait issues with the oil back again hit the aviation very heavily. There were 2 waves of the war, and during those years the fuel price were high, that the airlines were down. And back again, the recovery came back again, and it was higher than previously. So then we have the September 11 issues, and the economy was hit also quite heavily, and but recovery was back again fast. And we have 2009 economical crisis because of the financial sector issues, and that dip was quite big, but also recovery was quite substantially high. And now first time in industry history at all, we have that COVID, and also the world has COVID, and of course it influences our GDP growth, and it went down quite dramatically, and now it's recovering, and International Monetary Fund is expecting that by 2022, 2023 it will be reaching previous level and will even higher than it was before. That is usually a normal cycle. And if you think now, during, let's say, recovery of the crisis stage, if you start your studies, so definitely within 2 years, when you will complete, the economy will be already on the high level, climbing up, and abilities to find a job when the economy is climbing is much easier instead of stability. So you'll have a lot of opportunities. That is why the good time for the studies when economical cycle is down, and the good time for receiving your benefits when economical cycle is high. So this is the inside view on the economical situation now around the globe, and you can decide in one or another way, either to wait or to join it now. But if I would be you in today's place, I would be starting study immediately, because that could guarantee me after 2 years a lot of opportunities to have a better paid job. So thank you very much. Back again, the summary is such that we introduced about airBaltic and airBaltic Pilot Academy, about the prices and about the structure of the payment, about the benefits, about the pluses and minuses, what we have in economical situation right now. And it's your decision to join us. I would very much happy to see you on the final interview, and also flying together later on the Airbus 220 as the first officer and the captain in the future. If you want to apply, the pilotacademy.com is in front of you, and send your questions now to slido.com, and the code is PA5, or maybe that is wrong. So ask your questions, and I will be answering after the short break. Thank you very much indeed, and see you in a few minutes. Thank you for rejoining back again. During a break, you've seen Open Days today. That was live video from what is happening outside the hangar. So as you've seen, our cadets with instructor also flying together with the parents into the sky to see how they are trained and how is the feeling to be inside the Diamond 40 during a flight. So now I will start answering your questions, and the questions are popping up on the screen. I will be reading them loudly and I answer them as they come. And if there will be a PPL, for what amount? Yes, there is a PPL program which will be available in September. So within the next week you will see on our pilot academy.com web page the information about the PPL program, and the program price will be around 12,000 euros. We are just finalizing because it's all calculations are yet not finished, and they will be appearing on the screen. It's not the cheapest, as I mentioned, and it's not the most expensive, but you have to have a quality of the training, because if you train on something very cheap, of course the price is cheaper, but our devices and our instructors give you a quality and give you a high standards at the end of the program. Next question is when is planned to launch PPL course? As I answered already, mid of September will be first group. We have integrated ATPL group starting also at the beginning of September, and a week later we'll have PPL course, and then in October we'll have a modular CPL also joining. Next question is, Sveiki, I can apply only with EU citizenship. Yes, at the moment you can apply only if you have permission to live or work in EU. You don't need to be fully EU citizenship, but you need to have at least have a validity to stay for studies in European Union. That could be achieved in different ways, but it was questions before, so I can answer it now, that airBaltic Pilot Academy does not provide you like consulate permissions to go through, and we can only support that you are coming, but we cannot provide all the pathway to get into the EU. That is your job, and please try to get your permission, and then you are very welcome to join the academy. Next question is, how much is helicopter license about to cost? When it is training going to happen? Helicopter training is going to be added into 2 years time. Yeah, this is very good question. So that is our future, because we started with pilot training. Second aim was drone pilot training, which is already with LMT is in the progress, and next year we'll have a full drone pilot training program. It's not the drone which you believe that you can fly 25 kilograms, but it's bigger drones which require operator, and for that operator license you need to have training which is part of PPL training. So that is coming next year, and year after in 2023 we are going to launch the helicopter theoretical training program with one of our partners in the future. Sveiki, I am from Lithuania. I can see it from the language, and I have PPL license. What is an option for the integrated ATPL? Yes, if you have already PPL license, and it's not possible to integrate fully your PPL license into integrated ATPL. Integrated ATPL is PPL, CPL all together in one. So, but if you have PPL license, and we have a lot of, not a lot, but few pilots in Pilot Academy who had already PPL licenses, and when they rejoin, you need to repeat all theoretical part, 14 blocks, because that is requirement. But the flying allowance, it goes into a special program, and our head of training looks at how much you have flown and how we can reduce the flying program and of course that adjust the price what you need to pay. Next question is, if I have flying hours and I still allowed to apply to the course, 25 hours on. Yes, you are welcome to apply. There is no restriction here, and more you have flying hours, better you will progress. So it will be easier to fly, and we are very welcome before joining any pilot profession to try yourself flying a little bit, maybe gliders, maybe some ultralights, and because you need to understand if you fit the profession, because that is the long lasting profession, and investment is quite huge, so you need to check yourself. And you are very welcome if you have 25 hours already flown and you still want to be a pilot. You are very welcome. Apply, and we'll see you on the final interview and then flying in our pilot academy. Next question is, do I need to include my eligibility work in European in my CV? I have a French passport. If you have a French passport, I don't think you need to do anything extra, because that passport already is permission to work in EU. There is no any requirement to have a permission to work in Latvia or educate in Latvia. You need to have a European passport, or if you don't have a European passport, you need to have a permission to live or work in European Union. So very welcome. Hello, when the next group starts, how many of them there are during a year? So we have standard 5 groups during a year, but because of the COVID we reduced now to 4, and the group starts in September, then November, then February and April next year. So because during summer we don't have groups, or very rarely, if there are some customers who wants to have a group in the summer, yes, we are open, but the standard is September, November, and the beginning of year February, and then April. That choose best, because even if you start in April, so you have a theoretical training somewhere until mid of June, and you still have a very good portion of the time to fly in the good weather, which is necessary at the beginning of your career, when you do your solo and then you build your hours, because when you have an experience you can fly during harsh winter weather, and those winters here in Liepāja is quite mild, and we have very little days when we don't fly during the winter. So next question is, I just need to reopen my iPad. 1 second please. Next question, I had a bachelor diploma. Do I include in the documents that are sent, or do I only need to send a high school diploma? I'll send it both, and send as much information as you can. This gives a credibility of yourself, and we see the path of your life already, what you're aiming in, and then we have make from that decision about yourself, and you will present yourself. So if you finish secondary and you have bachelor, you're very welcome to send diplomas, and we will of course review it. Good day. Is still an option to get last installment sponsored by airBaltic? It's under question, because during pre-pandemic period airBaltic was sponsoring the last payment already. Now we have stopped it, and I think within the next year we'll have a review, and most probably that last installment will be possible to get. If you are selected at the end of the program by airBaltic, that will be sponsored by airBaltic, the last installment. But at the moment we cannot do it, because the pandemic hasn't yet ended. So in the contract is all 79,000 sponsored by your formal facilities, but we don't have let's say restrictions to put that last part and be sponsored by the airline. But it's not happening now, but we are looking for 2022 with optimism, and that is our aim. We want to reduce the load on you as a student, and take responsibility also as the airline. But we can only take that responsibility when we have healthy COVID status. So at the moment those fluctuations up and down does not allow to make such a favorable decision. But we are very positively looking into the future, so and we hope to be able to get it. But as I mentioned at the end, type rating is definitely sponsored by airBaltic. No more questions. Oh, there are some few more questions popping up. Just 1 second. If my schooling was in English, do I need to provide proof of my English proficiency? English proficiency will be an exam during your studies. So at the beginning, we need to be sure that you understand English. But before you go flying, you need to have English level 4. So this is a separate exam which is organized by ourselves and usually Civil Aviation Authority or one of approved organizations which are coming and making those exams, because otherwise you will not be able to get CPL license if you don't have at least level 4 English. There are 6 levels. You need to have level 4. Then level 5 you need to reconfirm every 5 years, and level 6 is who speak very good English, so you have level 6 which is unrestricted in your license forever. So if you have native English, so there is no reason to have a proven document that you speak English until you are released for the license check. I have done my bachelor in software engineering. Still there is a chance to take part of this course. Sure, and very welcome, because it's a technical issue, software engineering, and this aircraft which I'm sitting is full of the software issues. Airbus 220 has 68 computers inside, driven by a lot of software stuff, and that technical education is very welcome. So apply please, there are no restrictions. And I think this is the last question which we have today. I would like to thank you very much for your time, and I believe to see you one day in Pilot Academy and flying together at Airbus 220 as first officer and the captain in the future, or even CEO of the company, as our company CEO also pilot previously, and he is running very well that company, and the career path is unlimited, so very welcome to join us. Thank you for your time and enjoy the day.